As fans know, Cameron Boyce unfortunately passed away after suffering from a seizure in his sleep due to the medical condition of epilepsy. The entire world, including his fans, friends, and co-stars, were devastated over the heartbreaking loss. Fans particularly loved Cameron Boyce on Descendants, and since there have been rumors of another Descendants movie, many are wondering how the film could continue without Cameron Boyce. Could Descendants 4 honor or disgrace him? Stick around to find out more, and while at it, don't forget to subscribe to Riveted. The last scene of Descendants 3 shows Mal, Evie, Jay, and Carlos racing towards the Isle of the Lost. Realizing there's no such thing as fully good or fully evil, Mal permanently removes the barrier between Aradon and the Isle of the Lost, reuniting the two societies and removing the need to choose 4 VKs to join Aradon every year. What this movie didn't include was the ending line repeated in the 2 previous movies.
You didn't think this was the end of the story, did you?
That ending scene and the passing of Cameron Boyce, who plays a lead role in this film series, led fans to believe that would be the last chapter in the VK's story. But you didn't think that was the end of the story, did you? Well, just because we may not get a Descendants 4 that is a continuation of the original trilogy story, there's still scope for Disney to continue the series if it wanted to. And in this video, our focus will be on how Descendants could continue with Carlos DeVille's story. We can think of a million ways that Descendants 4 could honor him, but we can hardly come up with any reason to disgrace him. In the Descendants franchise, Carlos is jumpy and anxious, but with the skills of a true tech prodigy and his tech savviness, came in handy when he and other villain teens got stuck. He had been working tirelessly on a project that would connect the Isle of the Lost to the outside world. At the command of his mother, he joined the other villain kids as they took on prep school at Aradon to capture the fairy godmother's magic wand and set their parents free. While watching Descendants, Carlos became a fan favorite because it was simply impossible to hate him. Unlike the other villains, Carlos does not actually do anything remotely mean-spirited throughout the franchise, except helping with the plan and perhaps kicking some apples. Despite this, he is the last to choose good, but this is because of his fear of what the villain's parents may do. Watching Carlos wear a shiny gold hat to help out with Ben's proposal to Mal and cheering loudly when she accepted was the perfect example of how Boyce's real personality showed through his character. Also, watching Carlos gain confidence throughout the first 2 films made seeing his relationship with Jane in the third one so rewarding. It was also amazing to see him come full circle as a mentor to the new young VKs who were granted access to the paradise that all hero kids got to live in. Fans saw him guide the new VKs with words of advice and even introducing them to peanut butter cups when they left the Isle of the Lost. When Cameron Boyce passed on, Disney found ways to honor him and the good work he did while he was still alive. Disney Channel canceled the red carpet premiere for Descendants 3, saying that its parent company would instead donate to the Thirst Project, a nonprofit Boyce was heavily involved in that provides communities with safe drinking water. When the movie was finally released, the premiere of Descendants 3 was dedicated to Cameron Boyce and was a celebration of his talent and the joy he brought to the world. The emotional 2-minute video that aired after the movie included old interviews with Boyce, praise from cast members, outtakes, and even footage of Michelle Obama's guest appearance on the show Jessie, which Boyce also starred in. Disney could also honor Cameron's character in several ways if they decided to produce another Descendants movie. The truth is, the death of Cameron Boyce completely changed how Descendants could unfold since he was a very key character. However, in the film industry, anything is always possible. Funeral. The most logical way to honor a character who died in real life is to hold a funeral for the character. Well, that is if the production doesn't plan to recast the character. Remember when the cast members of Glee had to say goodbye to Corey Monteith in the series? As much as it was heartbreaking, the cast members admitted that it was kind of relieving to say goodbye to the character. Cameron Boyce got a befitting funeral, but the characters in Descendants never say goodbye to Carlos. Descendants 4 could start with a funeral before the story continues. Come to think of it, there are clips we saw in the trailers that never made it to the movie. For instance, some sort of darkness was supposed to literally take over Aradon, and Mal was supposed to turn full evil again. Maybe this was the plot for Descendants 4, but after the sudden demise of Cameron Boyce, Disney had to go back to the drawing board. They probably made fans believe that the story was over because D4 would need an entire rewrite. The most devastating moment in his funeral would probably be the fact that Cruella would have to bury her son before making amends. Their relationship could also be a potential plotline, and we will talk about that next. Carlos is passed. One of the other ways Descendants could honor Cameron Boyce is by reflecting on the early life of Carlos. In all the Descendants films and books, Carlos is incredibly smart and enjoys science and creating inventions, and refers to himself as a nerd. According to the story Return to the Isle of the Lost, Carlos's middle name is revealed to be Oscar and that he knows how to drive. The book also tells how much he likes Jane, daughter to the fairy godmother, and this also is evident in the movies. However, there is some information only available in the books, but not in the movies. In the books, Carlos has an intellectual rival named Riza in science class, and Jace and Harry, the sons of Jasper and Horace, as his minions, though they are not truly his friends since Cruella forces them to hang out together. Carlos also got beaten up and pushed around in school, and Mal bullied him into holding her party at his house before they became friends. Evie was also the first real friend he ever had, and Carlos helps her escape his mother's dressing room when she was trapped in there as part of Mal's prank. The best part about reflecting on Carlos's past as a tribute is that anyone can play young Carlos. Carlos also had a sidekick cat named Beelzebub, one of Lucifer's kittens in the books. It was a gift in his baddie bag at Evie's 6th birthday party, but this reference doesn't appear anywhere in the films. Clearly, there's a lot more we could learn about his relationship with animals if we get a movie that focuses on him. It would also be great to see how his fear of canines actually started. We know that Cruella raised Carlos into thinking that dogs are killers, as well as vicious, rabid pack animals. As a result, Carlos had an extreme fear of canines, practically allowing them to chase him up a tree. Ben, the son to Belle and the Beast, had him look after Dude, the school mutt, to help Carlos overcome his misconception of canines. And he grew to care about Dude. Carlos then found his love for dogs, and unlike his mother, he didn't want to harm them. Descendant of Cameron. If we can't go to the past, we can surely explore the future as a way of honoring Cameron Boyce. At the end of Descendants 3, Jarlos was already a thing, and we bet that Carlos and Jane got the most adorable kids together. To avoid all the hustle of including Cameron Boyce in Descendants 4, Disney could just focus on his child. Continuing the franchise with a fresh lot of actors was actually in the talks even before Cameron Boyce passed on. Dove Cameron particularly hinted the possible direction for the series to take involving some of the new characters. The star was keen to point out that she hadn't heard anything about spin-offs, although she did tease that she was doing something with the franchise. Each movie introduced a new crop of younger VKs, including Dizzy, daughter of Drizella Tremaine, Celia, daughter of Dr. Facilier, Squeaky and Squirmy, twin sons of Mr. Smee, so we could well catch up with them as they settle into life in Aradon. This lot could also be the ones in charge of running Aradon and the Isle of the Lost, and the kids of the original VKs could carry the story, and Cameron Boyce could get occasional mentions as a way of honoring him. Recasting. As much as Cameron Boyce is no longer with us, it would be an injustice to the fans if the Descendants story comes to an end for good. One way Disney could honor him is by recasting the role so that the character lives on. Of course, no one can truly replace Cameron Boyce, but for the sake of the story, a recast would not be such a terrible idea. In fact, it would give fans a chance to learn more about Cameron's character in Descendants. We are sure there are several talented actors who would do the role justice as much as Cameron Boyce did. Reunion with his mom. Carlos's tourney number is 101, an allusion to 101 Dalmatians, the film his mother is from. In the book, Carlos is treated badly by his mom and sleeps in her dressing room on the floor, which is filled with bear traps. He's forced to look after and clean her furs, and it is also revealed that she loves her furs more than him and refers to her car as her baby. In the film Descendants, Cruella forces Carlos to help touch up her roots, fluff up her fur, and scrape the bunions from her feet. This makes Carlos believe that heading to Aradon would not be so bad, but Cruella uses his fear of canines as a way to control him. The ending of Descendants 3 did tease that everyone's favorite VKs were heading off to reunite with their parents, who all featured in the first movie but didn't return in the other movies. We would really love to see how the relationship between Cruella and Carlos unfolded after Descendants 3. Maybe Carlos even got to meet his dad. Well, the possibility of another Descendants movie also depends on how the cast members feel about another franchise. A large part of the success of the Descendants movies has been the closeness of the cast, and it seems like his fellow lead stars wouldn't want to do it without him. Dove admitted that she had mixed feelings about starring in another Descendants movie, and she was skeptical about doing the movie without Cameron Boyce. She said, "What happened was so incredibly heart-wrenching for all of us and something we could not recover from. And so, I think that the idea of making another movie, while it would be nostalgic for all of us and while it would be healing in a lot of ways, it might also be super wrong. So it could go either way, and it depends on how we're all feeling. And I think that the beautiful thing that Disney has done is that they have very much created a safe space for the cast to be wherever they're at. They canceled everything when Cameron passed, and I know they want what's in all of our best interests, so we'll see. I doubt it, but we'll see. I don't love the idea of doing it without Cameron. I don't know what the plot would be, and I don't know what it would look like. The interview wasn't the first time that Dove touched on Cameron's impact. She previously said that the films are a way of keeping Cameron's memory going by saying, "It feels like Cameron is still here when you watch it." She also said because of Cameron's involvement in the series, his role, along with the entirety of Descendants, can live forever in us each time we experience the film. When Sophia Carson opened up about the possibility of a fourth flick, she said, "The Descendants franchise changed all of our lives. I don't think any of us can imagine it without Cameron. I love Evie. Who knows what the future holds? I couldn't imagine doing it without him, but I appreciate that people love the franchise so much that they would want it to continue. I love Evie, but it's the core four forever." In what other way can Disney honor Cameron Boyce if they produce another installment? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. This has been Riveted, and we publish amazing videos daily.